Your item pricing is extremely important. You may use it to reward and retain good customers, maximize profits, or speed up item turnover. The item pricing in Sage 100 can be very simple or very powerful. You may not be aware of the deep flexibility and layers of tools to make maintenance easier. This is what's called the item price hierarchy, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Hi, I'm Carol Sukup, and I'm with Vrakas Blum Computer Consulting. I've been selling and supporting Sage 100 for over 20 years, and I often get asked these questions. So the most important thing to understand about the item price hierarchy is that the general simple item pricing is overridden by more specific levels of item pricing. So you can set it up very general or you can be very specific. So let's start out by looking at some examples. On this particular item, the standard price is $84. If you didn't have anything else set up, then the price of the item would be $84 for all customers for all item quantities. Sage ignores the retail price of the item. That can be used for reference or reporting to tell your customers what a great deal they're getting, but it's the standard price that Sage defaults to. Now, in this case, this item does have additional item pricing set up. You can see by the price code of STD that that's a more specific level of pricing that's going to override the standard price. So let's take a look at it. In price code maintenance, we'll look up, you can have multiple types of price codes that apply to your items, and you can even default by product line. So let's take a look at the standard price code maintenance. Now, if you want to review everything that you have set up, feel free to either scroll through or print out the item price codes. In this case, we only have a price level of blank set up for this item price code. And what this does is it sets a price discount based on the quantity levels. The price discount is applied to the standard price. So for this particular item that we're looking at, if a customer orders between 1 and 4, they get a 0% discount or the $84 standard price. If they order between 5 and 9, they get a 3% discount on that $84 standard price, and so forth. So the price level of blank applies to any customer that doesn't have a price level set, or if they don't have a match of an exact price level. So in customer maintenance, you can set the price level of your customers. And in this case, the customer price level is 1. So if price level 1 was not set up in price code maintenance, then the blank price level would apply. In this case, it's not set up, but we want to set it up. So let's set it up of a price level of 1. For the price code maintenance, you can use a cost markup amount or a cost markup percentage. And what that means is Sage looks at the item's standard cost and applies a markup either by an amount, say if you wanted a $20 markup, or by a percentage. You can put in the percentage. You can also put in a price discount amount or price discount percentage. We had looked at the percentage discount previously. An amount would be a certain number of dollars off of the price. In this case, we want to set up a cost markup percentage for this price level. It defaults to the same level of steps that the blank price level does, but we can change that simply by putting in the quantity that we want to cut off the quantity break at and apply our markup. So with price level 1 customers, they get a 30% markup up to 10 items and a 25% markup with more than 10 items. If you do not actually want to save that, you can still hit cancel because this does set up a more specific pricing in the system, but we want to accept it. So we're going to go ahead and accept that. So now the item price code maintenance is completely optional. Not everybody can use those, and you may not even be able to use them for all items. But this works really well for maintenance when you have formulas that apply to large groups of items. That way you can be very specific in your formula, but you only have to set it up once for the price code and just apply the price code to the item. Now, maybe this formula works great for all of the other items with the price code of STD. But when we go back to this item, on this particular item, at the price level of 1, they have an exception to the price code maintenance. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up the item pricing. The item pricing is more specific than the price code, which is applied to all the items. And so the item pricing would override that. So we're going to start off with an item pricing level. And again, you can print out what you have set up, or you can use the DVD buttons to scroll through. You do want to be careful not to set up item specific pricing if that's not your intention to do an override and make an exception for this particular item. So we can see, first of all, if we look at price level blank, that defaults based on the price code maintenance. We didn't want to make any changes to that or override that. So what we're going to do is go ahead and cancel that, because we don't want to make that change. But we do want to set one up for price level 1. And again, it defaults to what we have in price code maintenance. But in this case, we do want to make an exception. So when we're looking at the pricing for a specific item, the difference is that you still have the cost markup amount and markup percentage. You still have the price discount amount and price discount percentage, but you also have a price override, and it's overriding because it applies to one specific item. And so we'll select that price override, and it again defaults to what the price code maintenance is. But in this case, we want to set our price override being for any quantity this customer has negotiated a very specific price of $75. Now, it doesn't matter whether the $75 is more or less than the pricing that was calculated based on the price code maintenance, because it's more specific. The price code applies to multiple items. This item pricing applies to this particular item, so it is more specific and will override any other pricing that's set up. Now, that would be set up for that particular price level. Now, perhaps this customer, which has a price level of 1, negotiated their own pricing. And so we can be even more specific than item pricing. And this would be for a particular customer and a particular item. And so we choose the customer, and then we enter in the pricing structure. Again, we have the same options, but we can choose what this customer would get. And so in this particular case, this customer has negotiated that they are going to get a price discount amount of $10. And so that would apply to any of their purchases. Again, overriding the more general pricing that was available. And it doesn't matter whether it's higher or lower in dollar amount, it's more specific, and that's what Sage is going to use, unless you delete it. Now, the beauty of the general pricing is that you don't have to maintain a particular price for a particular customer for a particular item, but sometimes you need that specificity. The only thing that is more specific than customer item pricing is if there is a sales promotion in effect, then that will trump all other pricing. However, it only trumps all of other pricing if it falls within the date range of the sales promotion and the sales promotion is less than the normal pricing. So let's take a look at one of the sales that we have defined. And you can see that this is set up with a start date and an end date. You can choose a discount percentage or a sale price, and you can put in the percentage. And then this sales promotion can be applied to your inventory items, either based on item code. You can apply it to a range of item codes or import specific item codes. You could apply it to a product line or range of product lines, or a price code or range of price codes. Or you can use any of the user-defined fields that you have set up for the item and apply the sales promotions based on those user-defined fields as well. So the sales promotion maintenance will override any other pricing if it is lower than the other pricing and if it's in effect at that time. So just to summarize the item price hierarchy, we started with the item's standard price. If nothing else is set up, that rules. If you have optional price codes set up, you can set those up for formulas that apply to large groups of items. If you have an exception that overrides it based on an individual item, you can use the item price level, or the customer specific pricing for an item is even more specific. And then a sales promotion that's in effect and lower cost will trump everything else. Thank you for listening today. This is Carol Sukup with Vrakas Blum Computer Consulting. If you're looking for more information, you can either go into Sage and select Help and look up the item price hierarchy, and it provides a very detailed explanation, or feel free to call me at 262-797-0400. Thank you very much.